what are we up to today? Well, we're looking at the front end of an Argo in my driveway, and it's been a little while since I've done a proper Argo episode. Last one was a clip show. I don't have a whole lot to add to this one this time, but there's a few maintenance things that I'm doing. Not long ago, I finally got access to a hoist that I'll have regular access to, largely because I bought it. Anyway, but it's not installed in my shed. That doesn't matter. We got this guy up on the hoist so that I can do some real in-depth maintenance, but there's a couple of things I didn't manage to do at the time. Now, firstly, we had to remove the two central wheels on this to get the hoist under it. That's okay. I did discover when I was leaving that some wheel nuts on this second wheel here are loose, so I'm going to check all my wheel nuts. I also discovered that I've slightly bent a couple of rims, and that's probably from hitting a stump that was hidden under some bracken fern that I didn't see. It was a pretty hard hit, so I can imagine how I might have done that. Anyway, now I was unfortunate enough that in a parking lot, somebody tried to steal my winch. Now they got away with removing one of these pins, but they must have interrupted it in time for them to not get round to the second. My solution to replacing these pins, rather than put that pin and the spring pin back in, is to put a couple of bolts in. Now, I had hoped to get nylock nuts, but I wasn't that lucky. But I've got a couple of 12mm gal bolts, which are about the right size. I'm going to chuck them through there, and that should make probably removing them a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. Now, I didn't bother putting the Anderson plug on here as most factory winches do, because I'm not using a factory winch. I am using the factory mount. And if it were up to me, I would have probably bolted this directly to that plate to reduce a little bit of weight, but it doesn't affect our buoyancy too much, especially in sort of brackish or salty water. Our buoyancy is a little bit better. Now, I did have a mod planned for this that I don't know if I'm going to go ahead with. I'm going to open one of these out of the box. I've got 4 of these guys. I'll show you what these are as soon as it comes out. These are little PFDs. They're self-inflating units. You just pull this lever. My thought was to mount 4 of these somewhere inconspicuously on each corner of the Argo, so if I happen to be in a sinking event, I can pull a pin and pop them all and make them inflate and let me float. However, for my recent experiments, I don't think that's really going to be that necessary. And I think this would be probably almost neutrally buoyant in its present situation. I'm not sure with the extra, like 100 kilos almost of battery, although that's 35 kilograms of battery and probably about another 10 of outboard motor on the back there. I'm not sure if that would exceed its neutral buoyancy or not. And these might be just handy to give to extra passengers if we're sort of, impromptu extra passengers on the water, being as I've only got 3 life jackets and one is a self-inflating kids jacket. So, yeah, but anyway, basically we're going to put these 2 bolts in, we're going to tighten some nuts, we're going to remove this bonnet, and we're going to do the grease nipples on the front 2 wheels because I forgot to do them during the service as well. And I need to find my spare container of chain oil and put it back under the seat, because between doing the service and oiling up the new hoist, we used nearly a full tin of chain oil. So, yeah, let's get cracking with that. Alright, so for a start, these bolts use an 18mm socket, and because I've got the 1/2-inch drive on my rattle gun, I need an adapter. That should do for the bolts, and setting 2 should be more than enough torque. So let's get these sorted out. I probably should have got a couple of washers, but I think we'll do the job. Let's move over to the front. Could be a bit hard on the camera's microphone, but we'll find out. So we're going to pull this guy through. It occurs to me I should probably get a spanner for the other side. These are 150mm long bolts, by the way, and they're just perfect. I wonder if it'll go on without a spanner. Let's try. It does. It goes on perfectly. It bites in on the other end nicely, so I think we'll be right without another spanner. If I can get I should have done this one first. Get you in. That is difficult. The rubber stripping on the other side is presenting a little bit of a problem. And it looks like it's going to present a problem here too. Alright. I wonder if I can pull this rubber stripping out. I might have to loosen this other one up. Loosen this up, I might be able to get the strip out enough to get the bolt on. Whether I'll get it back in once it's on there is another matter. We might have to forego the washer for this one, but we have redundancy. Okay, let's see how we go here. And the socket's stuck on there. There we go. Can we get our rubber strip back in under this? Just. Okay. Now let's put this guy back on. And our socket. Alright. Well, now I know it's going to be hard to remove. A little bit harder to steal. Okay, the camera's going to rock around a bit, but that's on very firmly. I can chuck this in the back as a spare. Alright, on to the next thing. Alright, we're going to do wheel nuts next, and we're going to take our plug socket here because I know that's the right size, but let's just for the record look at exactly what size this is. It's on here somewhere. I'll look at it with my eyes. It's a 3/4 inch. So this wheel down here needs to get done. At least it needs to get tightened. Sorry about the camera work, guys. Right. Now it's worth noting that when we put these wheel nuts on, we put some copper anti-seize on here as well, to stop the wheel nuts getting all gunked up. I'm just going to check the front one as well. We had some issues with that. Have a quick look at this. I think we're good. I'm only using the number 2 setting on this because this thing's good for something like 320 Newton meters. It can probably over tighten these things if we let it. Alright, so I think we're probably up to inner bearing grease. So let's move on to that. Okay, so what I've been putting in here is this stuff. It's a Castrol Spherol Ultra-Tac 2 grease. Now, I used to use just general agricultural grease or ag grease in the same brand. It's good for things like uni joints and all sorts of stuff. That's good. But this stuff's specifically designed for wet areas. And it's designed to get tacky and prevent the ingress of water into bearings. And I found since I've started using this stuff on the wheel bearings, or the axles bearings and whatnot, I haven't had water coming out of them when I re-grease them. And I re-grease them when I go after water trips and after any sort of major long trip. So yes, if I've done water, it used to be that there'd be a bit of water in the bearings and the grease, fresh grease would push it out. Haven't had that problem with the Castrol stuff. Now, I'm not sponsored. I don't make any money from this channel, but it's good stuff. Now, I've got a cartridge filled grease gun with a flexible nozzle, but I pretty much got to do these front bearings by feel. I can never find them. So I'm going to find myself a light source. and see if I can get a camera in there too. Alright, this is a tricky camera angle, and we'll probably see a bit better with illumination. And the top of these Argos are not exactly known for their gripping properties, so my camera could slide around all over the place here a bit. So I'm sorry if the camera work is a little shotty as a result. Let's see if I can get a weight up here to hold the camera in position. I can't. Give me a moment, I will get a better camera position. Alright, we've got a bit of a Rube Goldberg inspired contraption holding the camera up now, but we're mostly in the right spot. Now I have a bit of light in here. Now we can see right there is the grease nipple we want to get to. These are the front two wheel bearings and I forgot to get to them. So I'm going to get in with a rag firstly and wipe a bit of grease off that bearing, and we'll try and get our grease gun onto it. Now I usually leave a bit of old grease on them just to stop crap getting in there, and wipe it off immediately before greasing them. And the end of my grease gun too. Now this one has a right angle grease nipple on it, so with luck we might be able to just drop this straight in and click on the top. If I can reach around the camera. And I just lost my light in the engine bay. This part of the design of Argos was not well thought out. I think I might be putting a larger grease nipple on there. Now I have to do this entirely by feel, because I can't see where I'm going. And my grease gun hose is not quite long enough for the task. But these ones rarely ever get done. And for that reason I really want to do it. I think I might be on the nipple. Feels like it. Let's have a look. Can I see down there? The camera might see better than my eyes. It appears to be. I'm going to shove a light down there and have a look. Let's see how we go. Yes, it does look like I'm on there. Let's give a few pumps of grease in here. Usually 5's about enough. But I'm just having a look. This one hasn't been done in a while, so it might need a little bit more. Yeah, I can hear it coming out. Yep, there's a bit of resistance on the grease gun now. Get in and take the connector off. Alright, that's one of the front two. The second one is going to be fun. Let's see if we can find that. Alright, so our other bearing is way down behind all of that stuff. You can probably see the chain way down in there. Or probably not with this. If I can't see it, it's hard to get to. This heat shield gets in the way, so the only way to that one is by pulling the firewall off. And I hate pulling the firewall off this thing. No, largely because of the little locking keys you had here that have all rattled and fallen out. I think there used to be one in the ashtray. I've lost both of them. I'm actually going to put some little cam lock connectors or something, or latches of some kind on here to do the job, because I can never line these things up properly. It is the single most frustrating thing about getting these things off. So now that they're not there, I guess I'm just going to rip this firewall off, but we'll work on that solution later. Don't mind me if I swear getting this out. This one actually came out very easily after me hyping up to how bad it was going to be. Let's bring our camera down into the footwell here and we'll see if we can see what we're after. Here's our light source. Alright, so that guy there is what we're after, and he's got another right angle grease nipple. That's nice. So where's my finger? That thing right there. Can we get to it? It's the next question. Let's position our light source so that we can get to it. Camera may get in the way. Alright. Again, I have to do this bit by feel. But I got it on there. Alright. This one seems a little firmer. Oh. And I've just lost prime on the grease gun. No, but there we go. Now I can't see what I'm doing. This is probably the most difficult job on the whole machine, is this. And nothing's magnetic, so none of my magnetic lights behave. And I think my grease nipple's misaligned. There we go. Yep. Yep, there's definitely, it's nice and firm. So I think we've got grease in there. Right. That, in my opinion, those grease nipples have got to be the worst part of the whole machine. Although I am able to check from here where I'm looking at grease on the inside bearing. I can see a bit of that's come on the inside. Not necessarily a bad thing. That one I don't think got a lot of grease in it. But yeah, we did try. Alright, well, I think we're pretty good. I just don't want to wear out these bearings. They are difficult to replace. Okay, and I did all the chains. What we did with the chains is we had the vehicle on the hoist with the wheels off the ground. I got my mate to spin the wheels around while I hit the spray pack chain oil in one spot. What that meant is getting the idler chains lubed up whilst dry, or sorry, without getting the disc brakes wet, was actually really easy. So I got a good distribution on the entire length of the chain without wetting them. So I would say if you're going to do your chains, hook the thing up on a jack or get the wheels off the ground somehow, spin them all around so the chains are moving, and just point the spray pack chain oil in one spot, and it'll wet the whole length of the chain. I did that for everything. Alright, now we've got a couple other things to do yet. Let's go find out what they were. Now, one thing I did do is I discovered I was having some troubles getting it into gear a lot. I have done the first oil change in here, and I used the quality correct stuff that was recommended in the manual for the right temperature as well. But what I did do is I put a very small amount of this stuff in here. And it did make actually quite a bit of difference to getting it into gear without crunching gears. That's nice, although I think I do need to adjust the idle slightly. I'm actually just checking my idler chains now. I said the word idle. Idler chain on one side is a bit looser than the other, so I might have to do an idler chain adjustment again soon too. But for the moment, they're not making any clattering noises like they do when they're ready to be tensioned again. So, we've got to put this firewall back in next, and hopefully I won't bump the camera. Where's our firewall? Now, I'm not sure if it's intentional with just my firewall or with all of these, but they seem to like overlap in a funny direction, so I like to push one corner of mine in first and then get the other one in. But this, if there's one part of this machine that frustrates me, it's the bloody firewall. Right, from this position, I like to get in here, stick my feet on the floor and kick in these two slots to get it in. So I'm going to move the camera and do that. That went in a lot easier than it used to. Alright, cool. Now, let's see what else there is. Alright, well now you get to see my dirty laundry in here and see what I've got hiding under the seat. I've got a few things, aside from a pair of gloves and some nice bog roll. I've got a gas cylinder in here that goes with a gas burner. I've got a little neck knife just for some handy stuff. Some white high intensity Siloom sticks. I've got a bog bag which goes with a folding toilet seat I have. I've got some repellent and a flare, and usually a tin of chain oil. That's the thing we've got to put in here. I've got two remotes for the winch. I've got a shifter, spoon and a few other things, and buried underneath this is a very basic little first aid kit as well. There's a gas burner in here somewhere too. This is not so much a first aid kit slash survival kit. There's all sorts of little bits and pieces that I need in there. And they hide away down there where I'm not going to lose it. Something else just fell down there, I'm not sure what it was. But anyway, that all hides away in there. Normally that's inside a Milo tin, which if you're American you won't know what a Milo tin is. They're a tin with a lid that can pop on and off. It's a reusable lid. You just use the lip of your spoon to pop it off. Very handy stuff. So I need to find another tin of chain oil and plonk that back in here. And the reason this fits down here is I put a sealed deep cycle battery in here, or a sealed lead acid. This is about the same capacity as the one that was supplied with it, but half the size. And crucially, it's sealed, so if the thing goes underwater or if I hit big bumps, it doesn't splash acid up in here all over the place. I also added an isolation switch on the end of these, which you can probably see over here. This all happened in a previous episode. I'm going to have my common earth rail in here as well for connecting my auxiliary circuits. So let's chuck all this back in here and go find a tin of chain oil. Had a look around my shelves and I have some spare stuff. This is really nice chain oil. It works really well. Nice tacky stuff. I was using an Inox brand. I think it's called No Chucker Chain Lube or something, in a purple tin. Well, about every 10 seconds of spray time, the nozzle would block, if even 10 seconds. And that got very tedious when I wanted to do a bit of quick field maintenance. That's the other thing I've got in here. I had myself cut a couple of spare keys, and I made myself up a little mini voltmeter as well, so I can check battery volts. And I have some spare terminals and the original battery cover. There's my gas burner hiding away in there. Oh, and a spare phone charging lead as well, just in case, because we do have USB charging capability on this. So I've got most of my essentials in there. I have the junky back end that I need to work on. Now, if you've seen my other vehicles, you will have seen my other videos rather. You will have seen what I do with the battery and whatnot in this situation. But we have actually tested the outboard in anger, and that is attached. So that works quite well actually. That's a 54-pound water snake. But my lovely Rear Admiral ran it into the sand. So I decided I'm going to get a spare prop, which also comes with a shear pin. Now I have a little plastic tool inside for putting these props on, and I think I should put that under the seat as well. This is a bit big to fit under the seat, so I'm going to leave it in the back, but I will be taking that with me when I go long distances. But yes, let's find that little tool and put that under the seat now before I forget. Alright, I had a scrounge around and I found it. This is a little spanner, I guess you could call it, for tightening up the prop on these little water snake outboards. And there's also a little cover here that goes over the thread. These come with it when they're new. Now, normally if I take the prop off, I'm going to want to protect that thread for a bit. So I stick that on the end of the spanner and just keep them together. So that can hide away down in the back there, and when we need to change a prop, it's in the right place. So I think we need to get the bonnet back on. I probably do need to check the air filter on this thing and see what we're looking at as well. I don't know if it's really in need of an air filter change, but we'll have a look. It has done quite a bit of work, but well, there's a bit of a brown ring along the top of this. The actual air filter itself looks nice and clean, so I haven't been in real dusty environments with it, though there is a bit of dust on there. So I might stop down at my local Briggs & Stratton dealer and see if they can help me out with a spare. But that could explain some of the idle issues if it's a little bit clogged. But I might get out to that with an air compressor and spray a bit of the dust out of it. But for the most part, it looks pretty clean. It's not clogged full of crap. And this bit, this is what makes Briggs & Stratton engines feel cheap, is the air cleaner cover. Right. Never seems to quite go on right. And that could be partly because that one got hooked underneath the actual lip. I can think of a much better way of doing that, but anyway. That one still doesn't feel quite right. But it's on and it's tight and it's latched. It's not coming off. Okay, bonnet time. this is the other frustrating bit about this thing. The second most frustrating thing about the whole machine is getting both of those pins on. If they had made one pin just a smidgen shorter than the other, it would have been fine. But because of the way they're made, I have to have both entering simultaneously, and it's a dexterity challenge for somebody with challenged dexterity like me. Alright, let's position our camera and we'll watch this frustrating event. I could very well make this look easy because I've done it lots of times. I did make it look easy. Alright, let's put our bonnet down. Okay. Now, for those of you that were curious about the winch and the lack of Anderson plug, this is all I've done. Just hooked it underneath the bonnet. Because I'm getting water splashed up here a lot, and sometimes salt water, I didn't want to have an Anderson plug there to corrode and to muck around. It also probably slowed down potential thieves that were trying to steal this winch. But that winch is on rock solid now. There's no slack and no movement. So I'm happy about that. An upcoming mod might be to convert these to LED lights rather than the little halogen or the incandescents that are in there. I have thought about putting auxiliary lights on, but I'm a bit on the fence at the moment. I don't like drilling holes in my section U Argo, but yeah, I am thinking about probably for summer developing some kind of temporary canopy, and I'm thinking about something that literally clamps onto the lip here and just forms a temporary fabric canopy over the top here somewhere, rather than rollover protection, because I spend quite a bit of time on the water in this, and I don't really want to be stuck under a rollover cage when it sinks. And I know rollover cages kind of exceed its neutral buoyancy, so it'll tend to sink right to the bottom rather than have the bum pop out of the water if we sink it. But then again, I'm not being too much of an idiot, but things like that can occasionally happen. Now, I think I might keep one of these guys on board actually as an emergency spare, just in case we need somebody to we take on an extra passenger, but I'm not sure if that will fit in there. I might keep them in the trailer, and yeah, because I haven't loaded up the cartridges yet in them. So yeah, anyway, I've got to clean out the floor pans. All underneath is vacuumed and everything and greased and whatnot. The floor pans, I've got to pull all this junk out, take it down to the car wash and give them a good clean. But yeah, in the meantime, we're doing pretty well. I think that's about all there is for today. I think I might actually take the octopus strap off this because I think it's starting to impinge on the, yeah, it's starting to leave an indentation in the foam, so we'll let that relax for a day or two. Cool. And yeah, I think at some point I'm going to make some saddlebags to sit on the back here to put some extra stuff in that I like to carry. So, but that will be probably a better thought out project. I might be reusing these screw holes here, something like that. I'm not sure how I'm going to go about it. I think I can probably put something underneath the two there. There's a bit of a gap under that. So we'll work on that later. But for now, I've got to pack up my tools, and I think we're done. This has probably been a shorter video than usual. But yeah, no actual video of the Argo in action. Although if I'm lucky, I might sneak a couple of little clips in right now just before the credits. So, not that there are any credits on my videos, but before the outro. So, I'll see you all in the next one. Enjoy a little bit of video. Cool. You're the driver now. Gonna help me now. Oh, Sierra. Okay, don't move around.
Okay guys, we go home.